Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group. I'm your host, as always, Ryan, and today we are going to be looking at the Bloodline, or the new Bloodline, as Solo Sikoa is building his own version of the Bloodline to continue as Roman Reigns is off screen for a while. So, as we know, Roman Reigns has taken time off from WWE since losing his WWE Undisputed Championship at WrestleMania, and we don't at the moment have a time frame of when it will be that he returns to the WWE. And on 3 weeks ago on SmackDown, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Paul Heyman were all in the ring on SmackDown. And Solo then announced that the Bloodline needed a change. And that is when Tanga Loa from New Japan Pro Wrestling debuted and attacked Jimmy Uso, and Solo and Tama then kicked Jimmy out of the Bloodline, while we had Paul Heyman screaming, "This isn't what the Tribal Chief would want." Obviously, he goes to get on the Bloodline phone, or the Tribal Chief phone, whatever it was that he calls it, to tell Roman obviously what's going on, what's happening. And Solo takes the phone off him and stamps on it. So then we have Tanga Loa joining the Bloodline, and Jimmy Uso being kicked out. Then last night at Backlash in France, Tanga Loa's brother, Tanga Loa, his tag team partner as well, interfered in the Bloodlines match, which was Solo Sikoa and Tanga Loa versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, to help the Bloodline pick up the win. So not only do we have Tanga Loa, but now we also have Tanga Loa. So both guys are brothers, and they were Guerrillas of Destiny in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it's starting to look like we are getting fresh blood in the Bloodline, if you like. Dirt sheets have talked for a while about maybe Jacob Fatu or Zella Fatu coming over and joining the Bloodline. That's still a possibility. We don't know how big they want to grow this new version of the Bloodline. It's not necessarily just going to be 3 or 4 guys. It could be 5, could be 6. The family, the dynasty is huge. So there's every possibility that those guys still may well join at some point. So where do we see this new version of the Bloodline going? Well, honestly, to me, we know the Bloodline has been a big, massive storyline for WWE for 3+ years now. We know that they are top merchandise sellers. It gets people to tune in to watch WWE, the Bloodline, and the whole storyline that they've had. That's been, like say, ongoing for years now. So to me, I can only see them going one way, and that's straight to the top. Solo Sikoa, after defeating John Cena, went on a bit of a losing streak. Unfortunately, some bad booking decisions, I say myself, from WWE. I feel like they should have built off the back of that win. John Cena's a legend, so if you beat John Cena, you should only be going one way, and that's up. But unfortunately, he's had quite the losing streak, so it's time now that they can turn it on its head and start rebuilding Solo back up, which I believe was what they should have done originally anyway. But it's not like they've buried him. He's not been buried. There's still that chance to then push him to be a top mid card, even a main event superstar. He's got the backing now of Tanga Loa and Tanga Loa, so they could have him you could have him win matches based on the fact that he's got them in his corner, like obviously Roman Reigns did with the Usos and Solo himself for a good long while. But like I say, it's not like he's buried, so we could start pushing on with that. So like I said, Tanga Loa and Tanga Loa were a tag team, obviously in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor. They had a stint in TNA as well, and they were known as the Guerrillas of Destiny. As of this moment, we don't know whether or not that name will be allowed to be used in the WWE, whether WWE would even want to use the Guerrillas of Destiny, or whether they'll just keep them as Tanga Loa and Tanga Loa, or just refer to them simply as the Bloodline, rather than Guerrillas of Destiny within the Bloodline, like obviously the Usos with the Usos, but they're obviously part of the Bloodline. Guerrillas of Destiny are definitely a much needed team to go into a pretty much pointless and depleted tag team division that WWE now has. Obviously they separated the belts again, which I'm more than happy with. You know, they had the undisputed tag team championships for far too long, and you know, they already had a poor tag team anyway, and they made it even worse by just having the one set of belts, if you like. So now they fully separated them again. You know, you can have a whole tag division on SmackDown and a tag division on Raw. So obviously, the Guerrillas of Destiny will be, I'd assume, SmackDown. So you know they can put a proper division into SmackDown at least. You know, they're a fantastic team. They're a well-known team worldwide. Obviously, if you're not familiar and you don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, they are former 7-time IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions and former 1-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions as well. So they've been doing this for quite some time. They've got loads of accolades and accomplishments and championships in their history. So it makes sense for them to come in as a duo, as a team, and start to push on with reinventing the SmackDown tag team division. Solo Sikoa, on the other hand, is yet to win a title on the main roster, and if he's to be the new leader, you would expect that to change in the near future. So how would I book the Bloodline or the new Bloodline in the WWE? Well, simple, like I've just said, I would definitely push the Guerrillas Destiny into the tag division. Have them, to be fair, I'd have them come tag team champions pretty quickly. Over on SmackDown, I think it's Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, isn't it, that are the tag team champions. So they're not really competition, are they, for a well-established tag team. I built Solo Sikoa back up to be dominant with some big wins. You could even have him win, like I said before, with outside help from the Guerrillas Destiny. You know, at the end of the day, that worked for Roman Reigns, didn't it, when they were doing Roman when he was champ? You know, how many matches did he win because of outside interference from the Usos or even Solo himself? And as we know, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, that is coming up in July of this year. So I'd build Solo up. Until then, you could have him beat some of the top guys on SmackDown, people like Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles even, and then have him win the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's what I'd do. I mean, he could even pick up the mid-card belt along the way. You know, we've seen before where we've had a mid-card champion also hold the Money in the Bank briefcase as well at the same time. I've got no problems with that. But that's what I'd do. I'd aim it towards that. I'd build them up, but you gotta build them up first. I don't believe it where they have the Money in the Bank winner just be someone like random, like what they've done with like Otis before in the past, or even like a Baron Corbin or what was his name, Damien Sandow. The likes of them, they were never going to do anything with the briefcase. So I feel like you've got to be able to then build them up. Build them up to be like strong dominance. Like say you could have them where obviously he gets wins over the likes of Orton, Owens, Styles, and he has outside interference. You know, I haven't got a problem with that. Like say that's what the Bloodline was built on at one point. Tama and Tonga, Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa, they also have another brother. So if you're not aware, they have a brother called Hikuleo, who currently wrestles in New Japan Pro Wrestling, same as what Tama and Loa both did. And as far as I'm aware, his deal is set to expire sometime around June. So I'd expect him to join WWE to be with his brothers, considering especially that WWE showed interest in Hikuleo just last year. So I would expect when his deal does expire, which like I say is around June time, we are led to believe, then I would expect Hikuleo to then turn up and also join the Bloodline. So for me, again, personally, like I say, he's just all my thoughts and what I would do. So I'd actually wait until the Money in the Bank pay-per-view to debut Hikuleo in WWE. and you could have him help Solo to even win the briefcase. You know, we've seen it before where we've had other guys help other guys, like we've had Kane help Seth Rollins to win the Money in the Bank briefcase back in the days of the Authority. So we could have something similar. You could have Hikuleo obviously debut in that match. As we know, it's a no disqualification match because obviously with it being a ladder match, you know, you could have someone like a top face or someone going climbing up the ladder to bring down the briefcase. And then you can have Hikuleo come out of nowhere, and he's a big dude anyway, he's like 7 foot. You could have him grab him down, you could have him choke slam him, and then you could have him basically stand guard while Solo then goes up and win the briefcase. I mean, one, that would be a great debut, you know, have him come out at a pay-per-view, and two, it then comes back to the point of what I was making of Solo should be the Money in the Bank winner this year. Eventually, if you're going past this even further, eventually I'd expect at some point it to build towards Bloodline OGs versus New Bloodline, if you like. So obviously the likes of Roman Reigns and the Usos, obviously the original OGs, versus the New Bloodline at Survivor Series, maybe even in a War Games match later on in the year, which is around November, I think, isn't it? Survivor Series. You could have them in a War Games match. You could even have the Bloodline OGs add another member, because it'd be Roman, Usos. Maybe they could get one of the other members like Zilla Fatu or Jacob Fatu. You know, maybe they could debut and join on the side of the Bloodline OGs, if you like. And then you could have, like say, Solo and Tama and Tonga Loa and Hikuleo. You could have them four on the other side. So I would expect when Roman does finally come back to the WWE, I'd expect him to be face. You know, we've seen him be top heel now for a good number of years, and if they're doing the New Bloodline, it looks like, say, Solo is taking over. You know, he's going to be the top bad guy now, isn't he? He's going to be the top heel within the faction. So even you could have Bloodline OGs. I mean, if I doubt he'd do a War Games match, but if you just did it as a tag team match, no reason why it can't be Roman Reigns, the Usos, and The Rock, maybe. Who knows? But that's basically how I book it. I definitely book them strong. I'd have, obviously, Guerrillas of Destiny straight into the tag division, have them win the tag belts pretty early and just dominate. You know, you can then start building the tag division up again around them. And the thought of Guerrillas of Destiny versus the Usos is just brilliant. You know, that's the type of match that people would not have expected to have been able to see at some point. You know, I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling. If it's done right, I am a big fan of it. Unfortunately, WWE doesn't tend to do right by the tag division. They haven't done for the last decade or so, really. We've had the Usos, we've had New Day, and we've had The Bar. That's pretty much the only teams that have been relevant for about a decade now. So hopefully they can build that division back up, and again, like say, Solo can get pushed into the spotlight as the top dude. You know, he could become US champion, and then he could win the Money in the Bank briefcase. But that's how I book it anyway. So what are your thoughts on this new version of the Bloodline? Are you a fan of it? Are you not? Do you think that maybe the Bloodline has reached its peak and you're no longer interested in it? Or are you happy to sit here and let it play out and see exactly what we have in store of the next chapter of this story, if you like? Also, where do you see the story going? Like say, I see it being the Guerrillas of Destiny being tag team champions and Solo Sikoa winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. So they are my two predictions for this new Bloodline over the next year. So let me know yours as well. What are your predictions of the new Bloodline? And where do you think it all ends up? So, like say, as far as I'm predicting, I'd go the Bloodline OGs versus the New Bloodline in a Survivor Series match of some sort. So let me know, as always, your thoughts and feelings. Give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And as always, be sure to stay tuned for more wrestling related content coming your way very, very soon.